bring an entourage with you, I tell you. Never leave home without one. So thank you all very much. It's a thrill for me to be here today. And before we begin, I do want to acknowledge that we are on the traditional territory of the Kumeyaay people, comprising 12 nations who originally inhabited this land that we're on today. Now, for me, I come from Calgary. And in Blackfoot, that is Mohkinstsis, the elbow, where two rivers meet. I live on Blackfoot territory. It is part of the Treaty 7 territory that is also home to the Tsuut'ina Nation, the Stoney Nakoda Nation, and the Métis people of Region 3. Now, I give this acknowledgement because as an arts funder and an arts champion, I am reminded that my job is to foster the stories past, present, future that have deep roots long before any settler came to any part of the world where these folks were originating. So for me, it is my great honor, my great privilege to be in my home, Mohkinstsis, where I am a settler sharing in the care and the space of the land with the people who originally were there. So as change makers, we all know the power of if only, sometimes the trap. If only we had more resources to do our work. If only there were more change makers like all of you in my city. If only people were nicer to each other. If only. And so in 2017, I attended a workshop that was, oh, thank you very much. I get caught up in my talking. In 2017, I attended a workshop that was led by Ashoka fellow Sean Loney. And he talked about how we might work within and change institutionalized systems that were actually created for problem makers, not problem solvers. Government systems are a good example of that. And so in that workshop, it occurred to me that if I think about artists, artists comprise an army of problem solvers. And we've seen that throughout history. Art, activism, and storytelling is not new. It's been around forever, and I'm sure many of you recognize these images. The thing that I find interesting is that in the current day realm of social innovation, or even in some of the change-making movements, a lot of these things you saw came after the conversation and the decisions were made around what that social change was going to look like, what it was going to be intended to inspire. You know, in the case of the Obama image, the artist who created that image had nothing to do with the Obama campaign. He was inspired by what he heard from Obama, and he went to the campaign with his image. So if that's what happens after it's all been decided, imagine what could happen if an artist was included at the beginning of that kind of opportunity, at the beginning of a conversation thinking about that complex or wicked problem. So Calgary Arts Development went to our friends at Mount Royal University and the Trico Changemaker studio, and we asked if they might be interested in exploring this question, in exploring my if only. And they said yes. So we embarked on inviting 10 artists to participate in a first cohort to take on this journey with us. Now, these artists had to have 3 traits. One was in their practice, they had a commitment to social change, social innovation, a cause of some kind. Secondly, they had to have a commitment to their community or their city or their network or an organization that they might be working with that they had a passion about. And the third thing was that as a cohort, there was a variety and a representation of perspective, of context, of lived experience for which the cohort could move forward. So lo and behold, recognize the iceberg. The cohort came together in 2018. First part of the year, everybody in the cohort, including myself and my colleague Helen, took the Social Innovation Certificate program at Mount Royal University. And that was about grounding us in a language, grounding us in what the current thinking is and where it comes from. So we started to learn a language of change making, which, by the way, is a hard language to learn if you haven't been in it. Don't forget that. And After we went through the SI program, then we invited the cohort to design a process of change making that was through the heads, the hearts, the minds, the hands, the feet of artists, was artist driven. And lo and behold, we have an artist residency that has been designed. And in 2019, we're inviting 3 more artists to come into the cohort to get us back up to that 10. We are asking that they bring a new set of eyes, a new set of heads and hearts and minds to work with the cohort that's been with us for a year. And then we're going to prototype the residency with 3 local organizations who have identified a wicked problem. And at the same time, we're going to evaluate those prototypes and that process, again, rooted in artists. So that's how I see the story. I thought maybe you wouldn't mind hearing from the artists about what they see the story being.
If only we could end racism.
If only the public realm could act to build culture and connect the people within it.
If only people could see the full potential of the marginalized.
If only we could partner across boundaries to address climate change.
If only everyone, lesbian, gay, straight, trans, non-binary, and two-spirited, or everyone, could love and self-express their own identity.
If only people would treat the environment as lovingly as they treat themselves.
If only we could decolonize our shared future.
If only we can refrain from putting artists into boxes.
If only.